Habaragani, what's the word? The word for today is Nia. Thank you for returning back to day 5 of our Kwanzaa lecture series. Nia, purpose, the principle of making the building and developing of the community the collective vocation. Our speaker today is Kenya Murray Morris. Kenya Murray Morris brings more than a decade of epidemiological experience to her work, which lies at the intersection of maternal health and infectious disease epidemiology. With a background spanning domestic and international settings, Morris focuses on understanding, preventing, and reducing morbidity and mortality among minoritized populations in the United States and Sub-Saharan Africa. In her previous roles at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention in New York City, Morris led local and multi-state outbreak detection and response efforts for foodborne, waterborne, zoonotic, and antibiotic-resistant pathogens. Amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, she led New York City's mortality surveillance data team and played a key role in developing the city's contact tracing program. Her research has been published in scientific journals, and she has presented extensively at national conferences. In her free time, Kenya enjoys knitting. The International Civil Rights Center and Museum is proud to present Speaking on the Principle of Nia, Kenya Murray Morris.
I want to welcome you to celebrate the 5th night of Kwanzaa. Tonight, we'll be lighting the 5th candle of the Kinara, which represents Nia. Nia, in Swahili, translates to purpose. And tonight, we'll talk about the significance of Nia and the ways in which we can express Nia in our individual and collective lives. As a principle, Nia encourages our people to gain awareness of and to embrace our collective vocation and goals. And by vocation, we mean our life's work. This principle is about understanding and building upon the unique roles that we each hold in our collective communities in contributing to our progression. Nia focuses on setting goals and working towards those goals. But in order to operate in the fullness of our God-given work, we must first understand that our personal goals and community progress are directly connected to our past and our present. In fact, the principle of Nia honors that as African people, we share the great human legacy of being the parents of civilization and knowledge. Further, we are rooted in a communal tradition of the establishment of communal goals where the community's well-being is seen as intertwined to our individual success. Nia encourages us that in our own lived experience, as we gain skills and self-knowledge that enable us to choose paths that align with our purpose, that we should consider a layered question. Are we in this life for more than ourselves? And what can we do that's aligned with our passion and our values that will continue the work that's been completed by generations that have come before us to ensure that our people and our future generations will have the opportunity to thrive in the most optimal conditions? When I consider those questions, I think of the work of Dr. Anita Phillips, who's a trauma therapist and author of the book, The Garden Within. She states that purpose is not the thing that we're supposed to do, but it is the why of why we're doing it. According to Dr. Phillips, purpose has 3 main goals. Number 1, purpose meets the need to sustain others. Number 2, purpose is productive according to our own gifts. Number 3, purpose is relational in that it is always connected to people. With that in mind, we can see that Nia encourages both people and communities to find a deeper meaning and direction for their actions. No matter what your purpose looks like or feels like, the principle of Nia reminds us that the ways we choose to use our time and our talents will ultimately impact the upbuilding of our community. Nia, purpose, takes me back to a reflective point in my own life when I was trying to figure out my purpose just as a little person. I can recall during elementary school, during Black History Month, Our teachers would give us pictures of important figures in Black history to draw, trace, and color, and we would paste these all across the classroom wall. Many of these figures were role models for us and represented who we wanted to be like. I can vividly recall my classmates drawing Jackie Robinson with the hopes that one day that they may be a famed baseball player. I can also recall that some of my classmates drew Madam C.J. Walker with a dream of being a famous inventor or an amazing hairdresser. But I struggled during this assignment because I wanted to be a scientist, and at my school, there were not any photos of any Black female scientists available for me to draw. But it took one teacher who saw the need to implant purpose in my life because she knew that implanting purpose in me was directly connected to the impact and the need that was available in my community. So she went on a hunt and she found me a photo of Dr. Mae Jemison, who was the first Black female astronaut to travel into space. And she was also a physician and a scientist. This was the only example of a Black female scientist that I had available in my own life. From that point forward, every Black History Month, I painted and drew a picture of Dr. Mae Jemison. Mae Jemison once said, "Never be limited by other people's limited imaginations. If you adopt their attitudes, then the possibility won't exist because you have already shut it out." Coloring that photo of Dr. Mae Jemison every year made purpose become larger and larger for me. In the end, I did not become an astronaut, nor did I become a physician. But what I did become was a scientist. My initial purpose as a scientist, as an epidemiologist to be exact, was ignited in the 6th grade. My teacher brought in a movie for us to watch in science class called Outbreak, and it was starring Dustin Hoffman and Morgan Freeman. And I just remember the excitement of wanting to be in that film and wanting to be investigating these deadly diseases and preventing people from getting sick. But I paused because there were no women who looked like me in that film. So I decided in college that I would go to school to study epidemiology. And so in my mind, I crafted images of what Black women look like as epidemiologists and scientists, but I had never met one. There was a whole 10-year period of me watching movies, of me reading stories about Black female scientists and not really meeting one until after graduate school, when I entered my career and I met my very first Black female epidemiologist, who is still my mentor today. Dr. Kamara Jones, former president of the American Public Health Association, was the first Black female epidemiologist that I met, and she has guided my career as a mentor to ensure that my work is community-focused and my work also extends beyond the grounds of the United States. The moment that I knew that I was truly aligned with my purpose was the moment that I could connect the fact that I had been trained in investigating deadly infectious diseases and I had a specific skill set that could save lives. This moment came to a crushing head when I decided to move to sub-Saharan Africa and to work in a NICU setting and to use my skill set to figure out why babies between the ages of 1 and 28 days were dying in the NICU. And purpose felt aligned for me because all those years of school, all those years of training, all those years of being in community and witnessing morbidity and mortality that's preventable, and I had a skill set to solve that, that's when purpose was aligned for me. My work is dark because I focus on morbidity and mortality. We're not looking for the ingredients to cotton candy. We are looking at the reasons why people are dying. And I think, the dark part of that for me is on an 8-hour shift, my environment would be a setting of where 5 babies would die. And this is every day. But I'm also working in a developing country where there is no running water, the country is experiencing an unprecedented drought, and there's also no electricity. And so on top of doing my regular job, I had to shift into doing my job without normal resources or with limited resources. What gave me hope and joy in the midst of a lot of pain and grief connected to my work. Women would line up at 5 o'clock in the morning because the ratio of people who lived in that community to the number of physicians outweighed anything that that community had available to them. So women would line up 5 o'clock in the morning, and by the time I got to work at 7, the line would be wrapped around the building 2 times over. But the thing that brought me joy and that also helped me to live in a different part of how I related to community in my work is that at 6 o'clock in the morning, the nurses would gather in the middle of the courtyard and just pray, sing, and dance. And I had never been a part of a work setting before, that my work in the beginning of my workday, when I clock in, I get to go to the courtyard and pray with people, sing with people, affirm a different reality, walk in with joy, and then go to work. Now more than ever, finding your purpose is essential for your freedom, but also the freedom and liberation of your community. One thing that I will say is that purpose takes work. You know, it's not something that's linear. It may shift, it may change, it may come in the most unexpected ways, and similar to my story, it may lead you to another country. As I continue to grow and reflect on Nia as a principal, and the work of Dr. Anita Phillips and the legacy of Dr. Mae Jemison, I am brought back to another experience in elementary school, a homework assignment from the 4th grade, where the teacher instructed us to write an acrostic poem to build the world that we wanted to live in. My 10-year-old self authored an acrostic poem called Equality that appeared in the local newspaper. I carry this poem with me everywhere I go, and I brought it here to share with you today. Equality, it reads, E, everyone should be treated the same. Q, quit judging people by their color or name. U, use your brains to fight off hate. A, appreciate the love you get every day. L, love everyone unconditionally. I, inspire your friends and family. T, there should be no racism. Y, your color of your skin should not be the reason for criticism. So my earliest memory of celebrating Kwanzaa is in my hometown in the Mississippi Delta. A part of my educational upbringing is that I went to a traditional school, but after school I went to Freedom School. And at Freedom School, they taught us a lot about self-identity, possibility, purpose, and Kwanzaa was a big part of our celebration during that time. In my adult life, I've celebrated Kwanzaa every year. When I lived in New York City, in Harlem, I would be on Kwanzaa praise dance teams. We honored it as a part of our church. So it's definitely been a part of my coming of age, but also of my identity as a Black woman. So let us go forth in Nia, finding our purpose that is reflective of a deep need within the community that surrounds us. As you live into your own alignment, in everything you do, have a purpose. Make sure the quality of your intent surrounding your purpose is one of truth, honor, love, and community. My prayer on this 5th day of Kwanzaa is that you keep purpose on your mind, trust the guidance that you receive, and inspire all of those with faith at the center. May you enjoy this Kwanzaa season and share moments of purpose with your friends and your family. Happy Kwanzaa.
We thank you for joining us this evening for our 5th day of Kwanzaa, and I hope that you were as moved as I was when Kenya Murray Morris described a little girl in Mississippi who had a vision but saw no one who looked like her in that vision. But she was still able to line it up with her purpose, and today is doing great work as an epidemiologist, empowering our community. Be sure to join us tomorrow for our Ka'umba principle, where we will have the great legendary storyteller, Fred Motley, accompanied by his son, Bo Motley. See you tomorrow.